Chicago, the Windy City. In summer, it'll suck you up like a sponge. It had already been 5 long, wet, unbearable hours of drowning in my own sweat when the doorbell rang. I knew exactly what to expect. Like a dog chewing on a meatless bone in the middle of Death Valley, I had been waiting 3 dragged-out weeks for this ticket. An invitation to a smokeout is something one dies to get into. Glamour, ecstasy, or even death. But for me, it could be the last piece to a puzzle that'd roll the ashes in my grandma's grave. I was destined to find the cold-blooded tar bag that brutally sucked the last breath of air from Shorty and the rest of my family. 19 innocent piles of ash. The tooth stain that knocked off my family is sure to be floating around here somewhere. A smokeout attracts scum like that. The 2-bit dame at the door had seen better days. Her eyelashes were as fake as the promises on the invitation. With all the charm of a true filterless, I followed her trail of cheap perfume as she led me into the party. I was in. I had just one thing on my mind. Even if it's the last case I would ever crack, I knew I would find Shorty's killer. The apartment's interior looked just like all the flats on the West End, cheap and tasteless. But for me, the last thing on my mind was butt end interior design. I was on the brink of solving the last and most important case of my life. Imagine the insecurity of being lit up. First it's warm, then cool. Then comes a clammy sweat. And no going back. The party was a blend of assorted underground packs. Kings with and without filters. Extra long 100s. Even a few from the notorious Menthol gang were there. After filtering my way through the packs, I was relieved to find myself standing at the bar, face to face with the cowboy. Drunk as usual, he was no challenge, even for a little Shorty. He rolled away timidly, looking as if he could use a good cup of coffee to pep up his old lonesome rider act. Trotting like a roughly rolled pile of buffalo chips, the cowboy days were growing old. My time was burning away. Despite the dark, I noticed a couple of young beaties mischievously sneaking around on the balcony. Were they the slime that snuffed my brother Shorty, or did they just want to exchange ashes? I couldn't exactly hear the whispers, but it was reason enough to put them on my list of suspects. A new arrivee captured my attention. It was the adventurer with his typical grand entrance via parachute. The lovebirds took the chance to burn an ever-growing hole in the blanket of passion covering the mystery of Shorty's death. As I expected, the adventurer was looking for trouble with the cowboy. But as it turned out, my suspicions were once again wrong. The two rivals came together to reveal a love-hate relationship that would burn through even the most erotic of tobacco fantasies. On the other side of the pack, I discovered Don Cuba, the stogie of organized flame and #1 on my list. His 3 nephews were still no-names, but he was a crude, nasty old stump who rolled after every butt that crossed his stinky path. The babe from the balcony approached me, hotter than lava. Unfortunately, she thought the Brazilian and I had something burning. She decided to play it cool as she walked away. I could swear I'd seen her somewhere else before. My suspicions smoldered. The party was just getting interesting. A whole pack of multicultural posers entered the scene, acting like a group of teeny-bopping bubblegum cigarettes. The monopolized leading brands were not the only enthusiastic fags around. The other partygoers also swayed to the tacky rhythms of the castagnettes. Meanwhile, my sweetheart was being hit on by a burnt-out old sailor looking for a piece of action. In all his excitement, the old captain ripped her sail with hopes of one last dive. Disgusted, the little lady finally blew my way. Her perky young tobacco rolls set me on fire, and the captain's ship sank. While the party guests frivolously indulged, she approached me with obvious intentions. My nicotine level rose. The color of her lipstick struck me as peculiar, but I was petrified. The meeting of our lips singed away my senses. Not only the guests, but the party itself was taking its last gasps. As the legendary glowing butts burnt to a bitter end, the first rays of real sunlight started to shine. Her pale filter lay silently next to my cold ashes. Only her gleaming red lips were to be seen, as red as the traces found in my brother Shorty's bleach white collar. The case was solved, but to what purpose? We were all just lingering smoke in a large ashtray called life. An era was ending, and I was ready for my return into the eternal light.